Now, as the season unfortunately comes to a close, the Raptors are still cleaning out their locker rooms. They're still chatting to media. We'll take it as we can get it. But today we're going to be talking about Pascal Siakam, Scottie Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, and Chris Boucher. I'm Savanna Hamilton alongside Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton. Amy Audibert will be joining us a little bit later. But first things first, we're going to hear from head coach Nick Nurse.
Season overall, I mean, listen, I think there was some concern early on. But that didn't last all that long. I thought I said this a lot, I thought from early December, we started playing pretty good basketball. You know, we had a nice run there of some games, and we had the little COVID run, and we recovered from that. And then I think from there on out, you know, we, for the most part, played, you know, pretty competitive and hard, and guys were getting better and all that kind of stuff, and it was a fun team to coach and a fun team to watch play. I thought they competed, and for me, like I always say, man, we go out there and compete like we can win, then we're going to be happy, and I think we did that most of the year. Geez, I think we got a lot to offer here, right? We got a winning team and a first-class organization, amazing fans, unbelievable city. I mean, I'd want to play here if I was a free agent. Okay, what are some of the things that maybe we could have asked for a little bit more, or would have went a little smoother this year? I'd certainly say a couple things. One, OG piece, right? Getting him on the floor a little more. I think he was going like this, and then he was, you know, there was a long periods of time, and then he kind of leveled out. He had some, you know, some good moments. Obviously, we were better with him for sure, right? Again, another quality, experienced player out there. But he was certainly going like this until, you know, the hip injury, I think, was the first one. And if we could have seen that slow progression all year, I think that would have benefited us. Freddie went like this and then kind of hung on. You know, maybe if we can level that one out a little bit more and continue that. And then the other two guys, I think Scottie and Precious continue to grow and are able to take it kind of from start to finish. And boy, that's four pretty critical things with four really good players that I think has a big impact. And there's probably more in there too, but that's a pretty good start. I mean, listen, I'm not that great at planning in the future. Right? Like if you're trying to time it out of when you think we have another shot to win one, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to get back in the hunt today. So just be clear on that. I coach to win him, and that's it. Well, 100%. Listen, I think that I've always said this. I mean, listen, Masai and I have a great relationship. I think mostly because we want to win championship. I mean, it's about trying to figure out how to win it all, right? That's what I sense he's trying to do every day, and that's what I'm trying to do every day, and that's really important. I think that goes a long way in synergy, right, for me. And you know, listen, he has conversations with me about my coaching, and I have conversations with him about the roster, right? And we're getting ready to have one here in about 1 o'clock, right? And we're gonna make some moves to go forward, right? Like how can we coach better? How can we player develop better? How can we get the roster better? How can we get better and get to where we want to go? This is, you know, it was a great season, but you know, first round exit is not my not what we want to do.
Well, guys, we just heard from head coach Nick Nurse. So, Jonesy, I'm going to go to you first for this one. He talked a lot about winning, music to my ears. But what is the timeline on expecting more of a, you know, I guess a winning team in terms of longevity in the future?
Well, I think it's something that is constantly being built, and it's constantly a work in progress when you're talking about winning. You know, this year was supposed to be a, quote, developmental year, unquote. It turned into more than that. It turned into a year of maybe exceeding some people's expectations and winning. And Nick Nurse, you heard him talk about it. They're in it to win, and it's an organizational focus, whether it be the players, whether it be Nick Nurse, whether it be Masai Ujiri, it's about winning. And Nick is on that. He knows that his players have to develop. Part of that winning is getting guys to become better players. They always say players are made when the lights go down. Well, the lights are down now. The Raptors season is over. It's about development, about getting those guys better, whatever moves the front office decides to make, but it's about putting it together and trying to win. And again, Nick Nurse has always been about that. You look at his demeanor on the sideline, you look at the way his players develop under him, it's about that bottom line in terms of winning.
Absolutely. You know, he's a winning coach. He brought a championship to the Toronto Raptors, to the city, and to Canada, really. So if you look at the bigger picture, he's a very valuable coach here for this organization. But with value comes maybe some lurkers around the scenes a little bit. Lakers and some other teams have been very interested in Nick Nurse. But what are your takeaways from just hearing the rumors?
Well, to your point and Jonesy's point about winning, that's going to attract people. And Nick Nurse has done a great job as a Raptor head coach. And you understand that when you're wanted, it's a good thing. It's not a negative thing. It's because you're successful. It's because other franchises are looking at you and saying, you can help us get to where we want to go. And that's something to be wanted is a good thing. But Nick Nurse understands, and he handled it well in terms of his response to the question, because he knows he's done a great job here. He understands what's happening here, not only in the city, but in the country. He's got roots here. And as an organization, I think there's some unfinished business. So for Nick Nurse to shy away from that question and say, look, I'm a Raptor head coach. This is where I want to be. And also his involvement with Canada basketball is a priority to him as well. So I just think Nick Nurse is in lock, stock, and barrel with this organization, with this city, with this country. And you couldn't blame him if he was to entertain, those people that are kicking around the bushes to see if he's interested. And due diligence is okay. I think for Nick Nurse, he's made it clear, and that's what you have to do. State it up front. Don't have those conversations and those question marks around your situations. Make it clear. Let people know where you stand. Nick has done that. And for right now, he's a head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Exactly.
Right now, he's the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Due diligence is great, but also, what's wrong with a little bit of leverage? This is still a business at the end of the day, Sherm. Now, we're going to be hearing from Pascal Siakam.
I think, it's a lot of things. I mean, obviously, it's pretty early, after last night. But I definitely know that there's things out there that I need to get better, And I think one thing that I've always wanted to do was to be a complete player, play at all levels of the game, go all the way to the rim, mid-range, and then be a threat at the three-point line. I think literally that's for me what makes me a complete player, and then ball handling. And so I think those things just for me that's in general what I see. I mean all the details. I think there's a lot more in depth on what I will need to work on that I'll probably touch on. But for now, that's just that's what I think. Be a threat at all three levels of the game. My game has evolved a lot, and I do feel confident with the offense running through me and be able to make decisions, which I think I got awfully better at, and just making plays, and I think that again part of that is just if you have the ball in your hands, it doesn't mean that you're going to shoot 30 shots a game. It's being able to make the decisions and being able to put your teammates in places to be successful. And I think that, it's gotten a lot better with that. And for me, I got a lot better, with handling, the basketball and just knowing, kind of understanding where everyone is going to be at and trying to make the right plays every time down the floor. And I'm okay to how that's going. And I have to do my part also on getting better on certain things. But yeah.
Welcome back to Raptors Today. Now, we just heard from Pascal Siakam. Sherm, he has made strides this season in terms of improvement. We're now having him in the conversation of all NBA. Jonesy has said it in previous episodes. We talk about it all the time. He should have been an all-star probably this season if maybe he wasn't missing games at the top of the season due to that shoulder injury. What do you take away from his game in terms of improvements?
A lot. I think Pascal has come a long way this season. And when you think about Pascal coming into this season, a couple of things, and I've talked about it all season long, what I felt Pascal needed to address in the offseason was working on the left side of his body, being able to spin the other direction and finish through contact and through resistance. The other side was just getting physically stronger. I thought Pascal 2 seasons ago was getting knocked off of his line when he would go into that spin. He's still athletic enough to finish it, but I thought this season he took the hit, or he initiated the hit and kept his line and got to where he needed to go. So he addressed those things, and I really thought that his three-point shot was used much more as a weapon than something he just relied on. And I think that's a very good balance, because when you have defenders having to defend you on the three-point line, but you have the quicks, you have the handle, you can get to the mid-range, that presents a different challenge for the defense. And that's what Pascal really did a good job of, working on his handle, understanding how to get to his spots for that pull-up jump shot, how to get the shoulder into a defender, create a little separation, raise up and knock down that shot. A lot of things, and that's all just neck down stuff. Neck up, I thought Pascal was very good. Recognition of spacing the other 9 players on the floor, accepting double teams, how to get the pass, the type of delivery of the pass, where it needed to go. I thought Pascal grew in leaps and bounds from that perspective as well. So I was really impressed with what I saw from Pascal, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the future.
Well, just straight up, this is just not the same player that we saw in Tampa. It's not the same player that we saw in the bubble. It's like a way better version of the emergence of what we saw in that 2019 run. And he's really perfected his game this past, I'd say the second half of the season especially, dropping 40 points a game, having 30 points a game, and putting the team on his back when needed. But he talked about a little bit of improving. Where do you improve if you're Pascal Siakam?
Well, as Sherm talked about, some of those things, you're always a work in progress as an athlete. You are always improving stuff and making stuff better and tightening it up. Look, that handle, that Sherm talked about, getting to his left, we saw that starting to emerge. I'd like to see him be able to do more of that, be able to change speed, shift people left to right, get a half a body width of space between him and his defender, so we can now get into the paint. The Raptors offense, a lot of the second half of the year was predicated on Pascal Siakam doing that, getting into the paint, attracting double team. And then Sherm talked about the neck up. He's going to probably have to study a lot of video and watch and see where people are coming from with double teams, when they are coming, what passes are going to have to be made, and working through that part of it. When you think about it, teams are going to scheme for him. He's going to be the main guy at the top of the scouting report. He might start to see stuff that he didn't see before. So a lot of that, not just the physical skills, he'll have to study video when he sees stuff and when he recognizes stuff that's not familiar and work his way through that. But as for the physical part of his game, he needs to keep developing it, keep putting more and more tools in the bag.
Absolutely. Now we're going to hear from the Rookie of the Year, Scottie Barnes, as well as Amy Audibert.
First year as a pro, it's pretty solid. Learned a lot, developed. Just about trying to win, build on this season, get better, come back stronger. We're just doing what we do. Of course, we just got to be better at that, make plays. I feel like the motivation is really probably just for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but it was just a loss. I feel like that's really the motivation, just come back stronger, trying to get farther, trying to get closer to our goal. I'm ready to get back to work, but of course you got to take some time off to really just get the feel of the season. Of course, let my ankle get back better. And then it's going to be, just got to get better, ready to work, try to make that be for year 2.
Welcome back to Raptors Today. Amy Audibert now joins me back on set. So it's been all season, but we got to talk about Scottie Barnes. We just heard from him. He said that he had a pretty solid first year as a pro. I think he's being pretty humble. What did you make of his season?
It's solid to say the least. And of course it was capped off. The cherry on top was the Rookie of the Year. But to me, it was the progression to get there. And it all started in Summer League when Scottie Barnes walks into the gym and brings an energy, a contagious spirit, wants to win basketball games and compete on both sides. I will never forget his first road game at Boston at TD Garden and how he quieted that crowd down, which was fantastic. And then, of course, he gets into the playoffs, and my gosh, Sav, almost a triple-double before he rolls his ankle. He deserved the Rookie of the Year. I was so impressed with his ability to impact winning on a good team. You don't always see that with lottery picks. They're often given the ball and said, hey, go to win a game. He found a way to impact a very good NBA basketball team.
Well, not to mention, he really stepped up as well when Fred VanVleet and Malachi were both out, and he's really showing off his point guard skills in that, post All-Star stretch there as well. But let's talk about some improvements that he did mention. He mentioned his shooting, maybe his three-point shot, but what did you think that he could tune up going into the next season?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his offensive side of the ball, he's got great footwork back to basket. He can pull up on the mid-range. It's the three-point shooting, and he's talked about that. He shot 30%, but he only took just under 200 attempts on the year. So improving his three-point shooting and becoming a consistent, deadly threat at his size, he's going to have a small on him that he can back down. And if he has a big on him, being able to step out, pick and pop, and hit that three, just going to continue to elevate his already pretty fantastic game.
Absolutely. Now we're going to hear from Precious Achiuwa and Chris Boucher.
We gotta, we got to experience the postseason, which is the playoffs. And like you said, we have a bunch of young guys. And myself, my second year, Scottie, his first, OG, Gary, just being in those situations, just getting those experiences at such a young, age is big. We could always build on that. Now we know what it's like to be in those situations. We know what it's like to be in the postseason. We know what it's like to play heavy minutes in the regular season, and I think those experiences are huge. And a lot of people, I think, at first we weren't going to be good, and then it was like mid-season, like, okay, we could be good. That's like the outside. That's what people on the outside said about us. But we knew how good we could be, and as time went on, it was like, okay, this young group of guys could really play. We could do something. And I think the series, we had a great opportunity, to win that series. I think if you take away youth and just, put in more experience, I think we would have won that series. But I don't see it as a bad thing. I think it's a great learning experience where, we got to be in that situation. We got to learn from that. So this offseason, we know what to work on. We know the type of focus we need to put in our work to avoid a situation like that, or to grow and, become better next year or whatnot. So that's how I look at it. I look at it as a positive, other than whatever people out there are saying, and that's how I look at it. I think it's good, for us, our development as a team, as a young group of guys, and just moving forward.
I think there's a lot of positive that we can take from this season, and obviously it's going to take a couple of days and stuff, but I think just in general as a team and everything that we did this year with COVID injuries and all, I think we did a really good job just to staying together, and we got that far. So playoff experience and everything. So I think it's going to be it's going to be a good summer when we think about it, and hopefully we can grow from that. I haven't thought about it, honestly, to be honest with you. Season was, it's hard to play a whole season and think about it. It can affect your game, and also I'll think about it more the next few days. But, like I said, I think I did a good job just to, put myself and my family and everybody that worked and helped me out to get to this point. I think we're in a good position for ourselves, and just making sure that we do the right decision for all of us. Because, like I said, I'm not alone in this. And like I said, I love Toronto. Toronto did a lot for me. From the little young player I came here that didn't know much to who I am now. I owe it all to Toronto.
Welcome back to Raptors Today. Now, we just heard from Chris Boucher and Precious Achiuwa. Now, Precious was giving his thoughts, his takeaways from the season. What are your takeaways, Jonesies, from Precious's season with the Raptors?
Well, here's a guy who got a full experience. We talked about where he was last year in Miami, and they probably had him in a box. They had him in a certain lane, and he probably felt he was capable of more. Now the trade happened. He comes to Toronto, and they say, this is what we see from you. This is what we expect from you. And you had to believe that he was, okay, well, let's see if I can really do that. And we saw him test the limits at the start of the season. And Nick Nurse was fine with that and let him grow. And then Precious realized that, hey, I'm getting better at certain things. I can do certain things. I'm going to work on certain things. And you saw his game improve. And to hear him talk at the end of the season about his own improvement, where he fit in with the team, the overall team attitude, and what he was looking forward to after the experience in the playoffs, a playoff experience, it shows me that he got everything that he thought he was getting, and he grew into it. So I'm looking for him to take the next step next year, and you can just tell from his attitude and his comments that he is raring to go. He can't wait for the summer and to get another chance back at where he was this year and where the team was, for that matter.
From the player in Miami that only took 1 3 in a single season to the rising star that he is, literally at the All-Star game with the Toronto Raptors, to now where he is with his development in his game. Next year for him is going to be phenomenal. But, we do have to talk about Chris Boucher because he is heading into free agency, sir.
Good for him. I mean, when you think about it, players get that option a few times in their career, and you hope at that stage that you put yourself in position to warrant what you feel you deserve. And Chris Boucher's journey, it hasn't been an easy one. He's gotten it out the dirt when you talk about his injury out of college and his ability to work his way through the G League system, become a player of the year in the G League, and then come to a team that was winning and have an impact on that. And this season, to me, was a culmination of Chris Boucher coming full circle in terms of what he can be as an NBA player. I thought the Raptors did a great job investing in him, and he returned that investment. This season, I thought Chris Boucher understood what was needed of him, how he could be the most impactful player for this roster, and he fulfilled that role. And that's what you want as a player coming off the bench. And you think about this season, Nick Nurse was looking for bench players that would bring consistency. Chris Boucher, early in the season, was the only player that Nick Nurse could trust to come off the bench and be that guy, and he did a great job. And I tip my hat to players who have put themselves in position to get what they deserve, and Chris Boucher has done that. If Toronto doesn't give it to him, he's put himself in position for someone else to offer him a deal. But kudos to him, happy for him, and hopefully he gets what he wants out of free agency.
Listen, I mentioned leverage with Nick Nurse. There's leverage with Chris Boucher as well. And, you're only as good as your last game. Well, that's a good last game that he ended on for an individual stat-wise. So all the best to Chris Boucher. I know he's going to make the right decision that suits him and his family, I'm sure, as well. But from myself, Savanna Hamilton, Paul Jones, Sherman Hamilton, Amy Audibert, Jake, Armando, and Luke, thank you for watching another episode of Raptors Today.